This is their home. We welcome them.
The moment I stopped, the moment I paused, look at that. Daddy, is that you? No way. I have goosebumps all up and down my body. Holy shit, man. Can you see those? Look at my goosebumps, my hair standing on end. Was that you? You saying this isn't over? No way, dude! No! Okay, you're not welcome. You gotta leave. That is fucking insane, guys. Can you believe that? Are you proud that you killed all those people? Oh my god! No! What the hell? And I just... Would you kill again if you were given the chance? Oh my god! No fucking way! Oh my god, this dude is really evil, man. Will you follow me? If I want to meet you?
All haunted places have a story to tell. It can be tragic, it can be scary, and it can be very dangerous. This is Colin Browen, and these are the Paranormal Files.
How's it going, everybody? Colin here from the Paranormal Files. Tonight we are here in Mauston, Wisconsin. Kind of like Boston, kind of like Austin. This is Mauston. This is a very historic town, very small here in Wisconsin, but behind me, this is a notorious home in the area, the Boorman house. Now, this is a home that was built a very long time ago, and we've already done the interviews and everything. So, yeah, I guess let's just cut right into the episode. We already have had some stuff happen to us. Let's go to that footage from the beginning of the investigation now, because then after you see these clips of the interviews, I'm going to get into some theories that I have that are very interesting. You rolling?
Ben Boorman, that built this house in 1876, owned the rights to the power on the dam over here on the Lemonweir River. Ben Boorman had a 3-story flour mill, sold flour all over the Midwest, and a lumber mill. The woodwork in this house was the finest lumber that came through his mill. And then Ben Boorman discovered that there was people making money off carding wool because there was a lot of sheep in the area. So he started a third mill, which was wool carding. Well, Ben owned actually at one time most of the north side of the Lemonweir River in Mauston. He talked about building a big house. And one day somebody was coming across the bridge right over here, and Ben Boorman was coming from town. The man met him and said, "If you're going to build that big house, Ben, start it now. I'm sick of hearing about it." Well, this is the big house that he built. And Ben Boorman was married to a beautiful, wonderful lady, Elizabeth Gregg, and they had 3 children. And Elizabeth died of consumption in her 30s. Within a couple years, he remarried his brother's wife's sister. She lived in Boston. And then they had 2 children. One died young, and the other, a man, died in Minnesota when he was about 75. So the kitchen of the house, the room we're standing in, probably looked very much like it does today. Almost everything in the house has been donated, and we try to get period items like the cook stove. We have these beautiful cupboards here. It's not called a dumbwaiter because it doesn't go down into the basement, or it doesn't go through to the other side where the dining room is, so they can't set the food in here for the maid to pick up in the dining room. And over to our back here, this was the maid's room. And in larger homes built during that area, larger than this home, which is quite large, oftentimes there was an addition onto one side of the house that was the servant or the maid's quarters, because the maid would probably do the mending for the house. And we did have a spinning wheel in there. I think that's been moved.
Awesome.
All right, we move on here. Now this room, the bathroom, is not original to the house. Nothing in it is original. However, the Boormans had running water in their house because they had their own generator. The dining room, you can see the other side of the cupboard, and the nicer dishes are in here, which differs from those that are in the kitchen. Now there's a wainscoting on the bottom quarter of the room, and the wainscoting is from Ben Boorman's lumber mill. It was part of his mill. And when the part of the mill, many years after he built it, part of it was destroyed by fire. But they did salvage enough to put the wainscoting in here. The light fixtures are not original to the house, but they are original to some of the older buildings in Boston. So they have meaning. We do have a list of where they came from, but they were historic buildings in Boston, is where they came from. All right, we'll move on to the second parlor. Now there are 3 marble fireplaces in the house. The marble came from Italy. And by the way, this house cost $12,000 to build, including 3 marble fireplaces and everything. So nowadays you couldn't build 1 marble fireplace or the double doors for $12,000. Times have changed. The man up here is Charles Cutler. He was the first Juneau County clerk. He was a clerk for 30-some years, and from all indication, he was a wonderful man, well-liked by people. He never married. Now, Juneau County, one of the township is named after Charles Cutler. And some of our pictures around on the walls, some of them were not really relevant to the history of Juneau County. However, the pictures were good and the frames were nice when they were donated, so that's why. The pride and joy of our society is a candy case from a 105-year-old grocery store in New Lisbon. And there's 32 compartments. And any child that grew up in New Lisbon could remember if they had a few pennies, it was all penny candy, it took a long time to decide how to spend those pennies. And the table, when we went to the home for the family to show this case to us and decide if we wanted it, which we knew right away we did, it was sitting on this table, and the table was painted gray, and it was from the first owner of the grocery store. This is a hammered dulcimer. Would you like me to raise it up?
Sure.
Okay. Like I say, all these items have been donated. And yeah, I guess, anyway. See? That's what a hammered dulcimer sounds like. It's like a guitar in that it has to be tuned every time it's played.
Wow.
And we are getting someone that can play it for some of our events.
That is a very creepy noise when it's
Yeah,
out of
it is.
tune.
And the dulcimers, like Mother Maybelle Carter, Johnny Cash's mother-in-law, she played the dulcimer, but it was one that she held in her arm like a guitar. In here, we have the sunroom, or solarium. Back when this house was built, many, many people were dying of consumption. There was no cure, but the doctors and they believed that sunshine and rest enable the people to live longer. But so many young people, especially young women in their teens or early 20s, died of consumption. So back in the days that this home was built, this might have been referred to as the TB room. See, the person could rest in the sunshine all year round. On a sunny day would make this a wonderful room to be in.
Did anyone in the family die from TB?
Yes, but the first Mrs. Boorman died of consumption, but of course that was the first before the house was built. And but the second Mrs. Boorman, she lived quite a few years past her husband. Ben really died of consumption a few years later, something that he suffered from for a number of years. At first they thought that maybe because he was a miller, you know, the grain mill, so dusty, that was the number one cause. And he did go back to England for a few months during the year, thinking that would be good for him. But, you know, London weather is, anyway, he died, it was not 10 years, less than 10 years after the house was built. And I guess he died of consumption according to what the history write-ups say. There wasn't a lot of emphasis on what he died from because he had been ill for quite a few years.
But he didn't die in here, did
No, I'm not sure.
he? Interesting.
Beautiful doors, the finest wood that came from Ben Boorman's mill are part of these doors. 3 different kind of wood. These were included in that $12,000 price tag. Okay, a grand piano made in Massachusetts. The wedding dress was worn by Ben Boorman's daughter, and it's been exposed to the air quite too much, and it doesn't look so good, but at least we can get the style of it. And this was a little gown that was made by Ben Boorman's first wife for the first baby. The first baby was a boy, Will, and he ended up moving to Australia. Over here we have the first Mrs. Boorman, Elizabeth, the one that died before the house was built. Then over here is Ben Boorman. We have had a number of descendants from out west here. No longer are there any descendants in Wisconsin, but there are some that have been here from California, Oregon, and Washington. And they love the house. And they love the fact that we're taking care of it. And another marble fireplace. And by the way, the rocking horse did belong to the Boorman children. We do have about a dozen items that were sent to us by the family. Over here, this is a melodeon. It's kind of like a keyboard that we might have to see today. And the first Mrs. Boorman, she owned this, and she played it when Ben Boorman was courting her. So I think you have to pump it, something like a pump organ. And this, and we have the families of Ben Boorman, the descendants from out in Oregon, have had copies made of the original letters that Ben wrote to his little daughter when he went over to England for a few months. It's just precious. We love the entrance, especially the staircase. We have had weddings in the house. We've had prom pictures. We have had many more wedding pictures than actual weddings because the people in Juneau County know this wonderful staircase is great. The niches where the lamps are, in some of the homes, the large homes throughout the United States, probably the world, sometimes they're called coffin corners or lamp niches. We've experimented and discovered that if the lights are all off and the lamps are lit, we would try with a kerosene lamp. If they're lit, it does light the entire stairway. And then we wondered why they called them coffin corners. People back in the 1800s and early 1900s, they would often pass away in their upstairs bedroom, and they often were not taken to the funeral home, but they were prepared for burial in their bedroom. And then they would be put in the coffin. Well, they'd find that with a stairway like this, it was very hard to get it down the stairs. But we've experimented with coffins too, and we know it works. So it enables them to turn the corner.
I can imagine it would be easier.
Just yeah. We said, why don't they carry him down? The archives of the Historical Society, we know it was probably Ben Boorman's bedroom. All right, this was Ben Boorman's office. We call it our library, and that's the third marble fireplace. And we have 3 pump organs in the house. No, take that back, 2. We didn't intend to have 2, but the second organ, the lady had it in her will that we would get it. And so when we went to the house to check it out, it was a nice organ. So we found room in the hall for it. And when we have our open house, there's usually a lady or 2 that can play the pump organ. Over here, we have a picture that hung down in the Wisconsin Capitol in Madison. Orland S. Loomis was elected governor of Wisconsin in about 1942. But Mr. Loomis contacted pneumonia, and he was very ill for a few days. He died before he was inaugurated. But this was a picture that hung down in the Capitol in his office when he was the Wisconsin Attorney General. All right, did you want to go upstairs?
Sure.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Oh, by the way, we are on the National Register of Historic Places, and we have a plaque out in front. Now, this house was made into apartments, 4 apartments, 4 different families did live in this house in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, but they didn't ruin the woodwork. But if we have visitors that ever lived in this house, the kids all remember the staircase. The first room we go into will be the hospital auxiliary room. The hospital in Mauston is called the Hess Memorial Hospital. And the 5 pictures of the same, Dr. Hess Sr., the hospital is named after him, and his son, Dr. Hess Jr. When we first purchased this building, Dr. Hess Jr.'s wife, who was a retired nurse, she would come up every year and wash the bedding in this hospital bed, and she'd bring it back up and made the bed like a good nurse should. Well, a typical nurse's uniform from probably the 20s and 30s, and of course they would all have a nurse's cap. The cases here hold some of the tools real tools from a doctor's office. This was Dr. Hess Jr.'s desk. This was a famous lawyer, and well known in Juneau County. We have the boutique. Have to have a place for these clothes that we get donated. Some are just really unique, like this little sailor suit and his little cap, and a picture that the family donated. And when he passed away, he was in his 80s last year or so, and we took this stand with the picture in the little suit and put it up near the casket, and his family loved it. One thing we have a problem with in this house is birds, usually one at a time, get in the house. And we haven't been able to figure out if we know it's not through the chimney because they're all closed off. But it seemed like it always gets in this bedroom and flies to this bedroom trying to get out. Now here is one indication, the only indication that the house was made into apartments, is this archway, doorway, because the people had these 2 rooms, and I guess there was probably a regular wooden door here, and they just wanted the archway. So that was the one change in the house. The people years ago, way back, didn't waste a thing. Now here's a wreath made out of human hair. When the ladies would brush their hair, they would save that human hair, and it looks like there's some tatting, a type of needlework tatting that goes on there. And if you look behind you, there's another smaller picture made out of hair. And of course, this is a more recent, probably from only 40 years ago, with real human hair.
Interesting.
Here we have a display of the first couple in Juneau County in Mauston. And if you notice, his hair, his daughter's hair, his grandchildren's hair, they had thick hair. And this is her great-grandparents, and she's still alive. She lives in Phoenix, and she's about 93 now. She's been here twice. Okay, this is Mary Troy's room. You see another wonderful closet. When we were in the library downstairs, I mentioned Orland Loomis was elected governor. This is Orland Loomis's grandparents. Mary Troy was the first secretary of the Historical Society, starting about 1960. She had never married, and she had inherited a lot of money from an aunt and uncle over the years. The uncle was a lumber baron, and the aunt was a handicapped lady that lived with Mary. Mary was a school teacher, but she didn't make her money teaching school. Anyway, she made her papers out long before she developed Alzheimer's. And about the week that this house was for sale, Mary had passed away, and her will came out that the Historical Society was getting enough we could buy the house. And the owner lived in the house with his mother at that time. And then he married he was probably in his 40s, and his wife did not want anything to do with the house. So they moved to Georgia, sold the house to us for a good, decent price. He wanted us, that society, to have it. So, and we were able to go to Mary Troy's home in Boston and pick out really anything we wanted. So they picked out her bedroom set. And this is a picture of Mary Troy's, the family farm that her parents owned. Down here, the ballroom of the house. I wondered why they would have a ballroom or a party room upstairs when it's so cold in the winter and so hot in the summer. But I was going through the first state capitol governor's mansion out in California. It was next to this first state capitol. And they had a ballroom upstairs. And the curator said it's because if they had a house elegant enough to have a ballroom, they would want the people to come through the house downstairs and see the downstairs, and then come through and see the upstairs. Over here, watch your step. All right, the Boormans did not have a schoolroom in their house. Years back, some of our younger members visualized this storage loft as a replica of a one-room schoolhouse. And this is about the size of a one-room schoolhouse. And sometimes they would have as many as 30, 40 children. But that's the way it was. And the basement. When the society purchased this house, there was a sunken furnace in here that didn't work. So it was sunken probably 3 feet down. So anyway, that's why this newly cemented, well, it's not newly, it's been re-cemented years ago. Oh, old farm equipment. This would be, they could sharpen the blades. And I grew up on a farm, and we had to, And so we thought anybody that could sit down and sharpen the blade was pretty lucky. This is a butter churn treadmill. It would be powered by a large dog or a goat. The cream would be in here, and the pulley would be attached so that the dog would or goat would do the work.
Wow.
And over here we have items from a beauty shop, and you can see that these permanent wave machines kind of look like an electric chair. And the metal would get hot, and once in a while people would get their heads scorched. That's why we don't have machines like
It is a
that.
creepy looking machine.
Yeah, they are. And this is a cream separator. You know, pour the milk in, and the cream would come out here, and the skim milk was over here. And back when I was on the farm, the skim milk was fed to the pigs. People didn't drink skim milk. Our hospitality room is kind of crowded. We've just got some new cupboards donated. We haven't got them put away yet. But up here, this is 50 years of real estate tax records for Juneau County. Over here we have a 2-ton safe that was donated from the Oddfellows. The Oddfellows, of course, disbanded in most places. They phased out, and they had to get the safe out of the building. It weighs 2 tons. So they donated it. We had a hard time finding someone that could move it, but finally they found a lumber company in town could move it. And the floor is cement down here under the carpet. Probably the only room in the house that we could store it. One thing nice about the receiving the safe, we have the charter members for the first 50 years of the Oddfellows. We've got their name, their age, their occupation. That's real special to have that. There's another Loomis sign. A few other things. Here's a picture of Mr. Loomis. And then the newspaper article declaring that he died before he was inaugurated.
Wow.
So,
Awesome. Well, I think I'm good. I'm almost out of camera battery.
well, maybe I.
Oh, you did awesome.
Yeah, that was amazing. Okay. Oh.
The door. Hi, I'm Dawn Logan. I'm on the board of directors for the Juneau County Historical Society. And I'm going to update you on a little bit of paranormal investigation issues that have happened where we've had different individuals, mediums, and investigators discovering some of our possible spirit residents. On this stairwell here, there was a young man seen. By young man, we believe it was Greg Hall Boorman, who was at the time probably about 4 years old, wearing old-time plaid shirt and old-time pants. And again, you know, he's a little guy, kind of shy, and he was videotaped actually, kind of a shadow, peeking around the corner here. And one of the investigators, who I believe is a sensitive, actually saw him more in a 3D form with color, perceived that he was quite shy and didn't really want to interact, but he was curious. Also in this hallway, again, our original owners were, you know, it was Ben Boorman, but technically Elizabeth died prior to the house being completed. A recording had a lady with a slight English accent, but very proper English, ask, "You're not going to make us leave, are you?" And the guess was that likely was Elizabeth. There was a discussion about the house, and after we heard that recording, we made sure to take heed that we wanted to assure everybody of the spirits that we appreciated being able to use their home and their house, and absolutely no, we did not want them to leave. This is their home. we welcome them, and we just appreciate them allowing us to be here. As far as actual visual on Elizabeth, it was no visual or shadow, strictly a voice. If we walk down the hall,
Just follow you to lead the way.
this main hallway, again, Rose would have described how this was his original office in here. And, how it was set up, we only guess. There was a recording of two gentlemen talking. And again, this would have been more a residual as opposed to an actual interactive discussion. But you could hear two men talking, and one which we would perceive as Ben Boorman saying that a particular occurrence was in a town known as Linden Station. And again, there was sounds of voices. Again, you can imagine the business that took place in his office. Other detail, we couldn't understand the words, just in that town known as Linden Station. So again, this was his office area. And Rose would have told you about some of the original Boorman artifacts. As far as direct interaction or reaction of any spirits with those items, I can't say that anybody's actually recorded that. In the room down this direction, again, we'll duck across through the main greeting room. In this particular room, we were set up in a kind of a circle, and we had flashlights on this particular table. And we believe we were talking to a 16-year-old Rob Roy. Rob Roy would have been the second child of Ben and Margaret Boorman, who was his second wife. And he was discussing, again, we had one of the devices that printed out words like a dictionary, and we had flashlights for the yes, no. And we found out that he liked to hunt with his uncle's dog, particularly turkey hunting, and that he was going to be having a birthday soon. The month we were doing this was in August, and I've been trying to get record of his date of birth, which I haven't been able to, but I would have been really curious, comparing what he was describing as having a birthday in August, and to see if he actually had that birthday. But he did say his name was Rob Roy. So that occurred in this room. We didn't have like a Bugsy box or anything where we'd hear the voice, but it was flashlight communication and using one of those little dictionary things that would print out words. So that way we could get more than yes, no. And when we first started, before we had narrowed it down to being Rob Roy, we had asked somebody what type of vehicle they traveled in, and we were told that they had a car. So again, now when did the first cars come into town, all that type of thing, I'm not sure exactly.
Interesting.
So, but that conversation occurred in this room. Oh, the other thing that was interesting is when we first started recording, and this was before we got into the flashlight things, we had a lady say, "Hello, I'm Ethel." Well, interestingly enough, Ethel Hess was married to the Dr. Hess Jr., and her nursing uniform is actually up in the Hess room, the medical room upstairs. And she had spent a lot of time here at the Boorman house and had been an active member. Now it's been several years since she has passed. Prior to her passing, she never would write out her experience as being a doctor's wife. It wasn't easy for her because her husband, he had some bad behaviors, including liking a little bit of alcohol. But times were rough. I mean, the guy's going out on, in whatever rustic vehicle he had, or horse and buggy, going out to see people at their homes, wasn't home much. So her life as a doctor's wife was not exactly pleasant. So she basically says history is past, and I'm not going to talk about it. But that's this area. Then the next area that we can look at is up by the ballroom.
Okay.
So.
Want to head up there?
Yeah. There is a regular rather salty character, Daddy Salter. Did she tell you anything about the Daddy Salter
No.
stone?
No.
Oh. If there was a dark part of the house, so down the base of this step, a lot of times not that much is told about Daddy Salter, but Hell's Delight was the name of his bar and store.
Hell's Delight?
Yes, yes. And I don't know if you have a chance to read the story. Bottom line is his wife, he believes, was killed by the Indians. And as a result, he decided to punish them. You know, he felt it was the Indians responsible. And people have recorded his response. Mediums have sensed his presence and said that he was a little bit edgy, but I think he likes to have his story told.
So, but this was the marker from his bar.
Right, and that had been out in the country for a long period of time, and I'm not sure at what point it was transported here. Obviously, it was sometime after 1987
Wow.
when the Historical Society moved here.
So that's, they think that he is
likely-
around this marker because
He-
of the marker?
I'm sure. I'm sure that's probably what his legacy is. There are Salters still alive and living in the area. And I know when we first moved here, my husband actually had some of the Salter relatives in his practice.
Wow.
But, it's,
I just put my arm right in a big spider web.
but we're just decorating for Halloween. But if you had a relative or a spouse or somebody significant killed, and you perceived it was by the Indians, there's an axe that's got to be ground. And whether or not he was able to ever find out who actually had murdered his wife, and if justice or due diligence had been done to the particular culprit, we may never know.
Interesting.
But his spirit and presence is here.
And you said that's, if there's anywhere dark here, it's going to be
Yeah,
this area because
Yeah.
of the kind of anger.
yeah, the anger and edginess.
And so what have people experienced, I guess? What would lead, is it just the psychic's feeling?
More the psychic's feelings. But when we've had mediums here, they said that he would really like to dominate a conversation. And I think he's got a lot he'd like to express and to say.
Interesting.
But because of this being his legacy, the Hell's Delight stone, we believe that's why his presence is here. And again, we do post the Hell's Delight marker and some of the history of Daddy Salter.
I walked by this, I didn't actually read it. I thought it looked almost like a tombstone. So it's
Yeah, but
interesting.
that was Hell's Delight was the marker that was by his business.
Wow. So there's a child that peeked around a corner down here?
We haven't seen the children down here so much. It was more up in the ballroom, and that was looking from the upstairs ballroom into the hallway. And we believe that was probably Libby Boorman, who would have been the last child that Elizabeth Boorman gave birth to. And in fact, she delivered her daughter, which was Elizabeth Boorman also. But they dubbed her Libby. She was born 4 days before Elizabeth Boorman died. And what's ironic is that Libby and Greg Hall Boorman, who was of the second marriage, both died the same day. He likely was just right around 4 years of age, and Libby was just shy of 6.
Did they die here at the house?
I believe so, and they would have had the wake up in the ballroom.
Oh, interesting.
So, and the wake for Ben Boorman would have also been up in the ballroom.
So that's another question I had. Deaths in the house, are there any recorded deaths or that you know of?
Well, like with Ben Boorman, the thought is that he was either in the front yard on a cot or in the front porch when he died, because he died of consumption. Elizabeth died actually before the house was finished here. So I can't recall which house they lived in prior to this house being built. There have been other deaths, like Elizabeth and Ben Boorman had they had 3 children that survived to adulthood, but they had a total of 7 children that they had. Libby would have been the oldest of the little ones that had died, but some of them were just months old, some were maybe 18 months or something. What the cause of death, we're not sure. But you had diphtheria, Spanish flu. I mean, they died before the Spanish flu era. We're guessing with Greg Hall Boorman, who is the about 4-year-old, and Libby, who is just shy of the 6, probably 5+ years old. We had a psychic say it had something to do with water, but it was in November, and we really don't think that they would have allowed the children to be playing outside and fall into the river. But the suspicion was possibly like a pneumonia. When you think of water related and you think of water in the lungs. So we're guessing that. The 2 children that have been seen in this house likely are Greg Hall Boorman and Libby Boorman. And we have had psychics say when they're up in the ballroom trying to communicate with some of the soldiers and some related to the other historical artifacts, that Libby, this little girl, really would like to talk to him and actually kind of interfere with the conversation if she could. And the psychics have said, okay, Libby, I'll talk to you in a little bit. I'm trying to talk with this individual. And she would step back. But we have caught the image of who we think is Libby. And as far as catching the actual image of Robert Hall on film, I can't say that anybody has, but we've had people actually have visual of him. Now, the president of our historical society, I'm kind of jealous of her because I have had my arms really, really full of things and never had anybody open the door for me. But she was going to do some wallpaper, and she had this back door that you came in to the kitchen actually all of a sudden open up for her when she was struggling to reach in her pocket to get the key. Mm-hmm. And she also, our furnace down here, she had one time, it was in June, it was plenty warm, and the furnace kept trying to kick on. Well, the furnace was off. There was no reason for it to kick on. And she said, Ben, I'm here, I'm gonna do some work, everything's okay. And then all of a sudden it just stopped trying to kick on.
Wow.
So again, as far as my personal experience, I've never had anything bad or weird or unusual. I have been here when some of the investigations were going on, and I did get to visualize seeing the video with who we thought was Libby. I have heard the voices. I did see the flashlight response, yes, no, and what do you call it, the dictionary box?
The ovulus?
Yeah, it's obvious. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I have observed some of those things, but for me to say I've specifically seen or interacted, I can't say that I did.
Interesting.
But I got to observe, which was an exciting thing.
What would you say is the most active part of the home?
Well, as far as an energy of an individual, the psychics have said this is really, really strong here.
This area?
Yes. Up in the ballroom is very intense also. Whoops, sorry. Because there are a lot of military artifacts, and the feeling that, like attached to the uniforms and artifacts, a lot of these guys gave their life, so I would say that specifically. Residual, probably up in Ben's office, but that wasn't like acknowledging us when we tried to talk to him. This was just like overhearing somebody's conversation. Mm-hmm. The stairs was active at the base with little Greg Hall peeking around the corner. But again, that wasn't caught on video. But this one gal, Leslie, described him. And it was the same description our daughter had when she was about 6 years old helping with the Christmas open house and saw that same little boy, Rob Roy, go into the closet in the upstairs bedroom, which is the Mary Troy room.
Wow. That's crazy.
And we tried to assure her, oh, I don't think there's any ghosts and stuff. But she would have been still at that age that is, I don't know how they say it, you know, that they're receptive and able to see things.
Mm-hmm.
But the description she had and her friend had was identical to our friend Leslie
Wow.
in describing what Rob Roy was wearing. Again, that was like a plaid shirt and old type pants.
Is there anything else that's happened or any place you want to visit before we end the interview?
No, that kind of covers it. The rest of it is, you know, setting up shop and just seeing what you can pick up.
You're right. Well, perfect. I think we're good.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay guys, so now we're back at the beginning. We've kind of time hopped a bit, but we got the Boorman house behind us. This is, like we've covered extensively now, a very historic property. Now, if you remember when Rose was doing the interview with us, she was talking about some of the wainscoting and the materials in the home. The doors were actually produced by the Boorman family's lumber shop, the mill, here in town. So it's almost like the Boorman family not only owned and lived in the house, but they've built their energy and their, I don't want to say their soul, but their being into the home with this wood that the family business produced. Like the fact that there have been deaths in the home, children have died, supposedly. Mr. Boorman maybe died out here over to the side. His wife passed before the home was even constructed. Death has seemed to kind of circle around this property, which is interesting. I wonder if the inclusion of that wood, a material that obviously, just like with fire, can take in energy and absorb it very quickly, if that has anything to do with why this place is so haunted. And what I'm very interested in investigating, they didn't really want to go, I don't think, into too much of the detail about the hell marker downstairs, but I read some of the history on that little piece of paper. The guy, Daddy, he supposedly killed up to 18 indigenous people, 18, on his revenge quest. He was actually tried in court, but he was acquitted. He even says, well, we'll get into that when I go downstairs and show you guys, because he has a pretty insane quote on that piece of paper.
Wow. That's some cool doors.
Mm-hmm.
Stained glass is protected.
All right, guys. Mary.
Hi.
And I'll let you introduce yourself to everybody online.
I'm Kalina.
And you're not really a native of the town, but...
No, I live about 2.5 hours away. I'm a native of northern Wisconsin.
And you have helped us a lot in the series. We're so happy to have you out to film with us tonight to investigate. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for being a patron too. Always.
Amazing. She's so sweet.
I don't watch any other shows either. This is it.
Well, that's great to hear.
All my attention. Because otherwise I'm
Yeah.
investigating.
Right.
Yeah, Kalina reached out initially, and then we've been communicating quite a bit, and then you got me in contact with other people, and it just kind of mushroomed from there. So
Yeah,
really
a
do
couple of my
appreciate.
friends really set you up well.
Yeah, from Old Baraboo
yeah.
And so yeah, we really appreciate it though, for
Yeah.
sure. That's been really, really helpful. So.
And she's got a bunch of equipment and some things that we've never used.
Ooh.
I
what is-
know.
What is
You
this
should
right
tell
here?
them, Kalina.
Yeah.
This is like a souped up K2. So I'll use my phone, take it off airplane mode.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very cool.
Wow.
Yeah, just like a really strong K2. Really cool.
Interesting.
Oh, what is the name of it here?
It's a Paralite.
Paralite. Okay. I've never seen that one before. That's cool.
Well, I'm going to suggest we all go to the ballroom to start this off.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So let's grab our stuff and let's go
Do
do
we
it.
have, what are we bringing? Okay. School. I missed the history.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, well, this is, okay.
Somebody in here?
Oh,
Okay.
oh.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Let me just see if it's the flashlight. It will go off with flashlights. Well, not that one. I have seen it go off with flashlights. Oh, was it the REM or the
It was a
Pro?
REM pod.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the REM.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay, to intro this to everybody online, we're in the ballroom now. This is a place where gatherings were held. Obviously, it was the ballroom. It's explained thoroughly in the history portion. People in this room have seen apparitions, namely small children. This is usually it's the one that's near me too, the weakest one, but yeah.
Interesting.
So people have seen a lot of kids in here. There's a very creepy doll over there on the bed with like glowing green eyes if you look at it with the lights on. But got all sorts of EM devices, EMF set up here. We're gonna do a voice recording session. I'm just gonna start off. To anyone here in the Boorman house, my name's Colin. I'm here with my family, a friend. If you guys want to introduce yourselves.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Kalina.
And I'm Mary.
So we're not here to hurt you. We have nothing but good intentions. If you would like to come out, you may have already been playing with the light. Feel free to do whatever you'd like. You can talk to us, you can dance around, you can go play with these little lights, the color red, if you go touch the color red. I'm just gonna ask, is there anybody here with us in the house at all? Could you let us know somehow? Oh my god, it is so quiet. You know, it's like the term deafening silence.
Is that REM pod, Kalina, if you look out against that wall, does that light on the wall look like it's shimmering, or is that just my eyes? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't see it shimmering right now at all.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna run an EVP session right here on the voice recorder. As always, just gonna set it right there. Can you walk over towards these lights if you see them? Whoever you are. Thank you. As you can keep doing that? Yeah, great.
This is really, people have seen a small child poking their head out that door. Did she tell you that?
I think that was at the bottom of the stairs, wasn't it?
I was told the ballroom, and then also at the bottom of the staircase too.
Maybe she mentioned that name.
Yeah. Rose mentioned
Are you a young child? Could you use your voice and tell us yes?
Yeah, we're not here to hurt you, just here to talk with you. Or just let us know that you are here in any way that you want to. We'd really appreciate it. And then just thank you for that too. Lena, do you want to ask something?
If there are any children here, you're welcome to come over and hold my hand. I've got a green light here. You can play with that too. That's fine. You can come and hang on my leg if you want.
maybe you're not a child. Are you an adult? Can you walk over towards that little red ball? If you're an adult, come talk to us.